A few weeks ago, everybody on my Twitter feed was talking terribly about Marc-Andre ter Stegen, but with another day comes redirected hate from Barcelona fans to another Barcelona player, who is now Ferran Torres. 2.5 years ago, Ferran Torres became the first official money transfer under Xavi Hernandez at Barcelona for around 55 million euros. At that price, at that time, he was kind of expected to be a marquee signing. Ferran had shown a few moments of brilliance at Manchester City under Pep Guardiola, but he was far from a starter and didn't have the consistency probably worthy of a 55 million euro transfer. But why does all of that matter now? Because I think that transfer fee, along with his wages and where he came from, who he played under, well, that created some unrealistic expectations for a young player and how he would perform at Barcelona, and all of that is rolling over to today. You're gonna expect more from a guy that you pay more for, especially one that was spoken so highly of from Barcelona's GOAT, Guardiola. But that was nearly 3 years ago, and at 24 years old, he's still unproven at Barcelona, and his spot in this side is really uncertain to a lot of fans, which is one of the main reasons that I think there is so much criticism around this player. All of that ter Stegen hate that was going on a few weeks ago, I always felt was a bit unfair. You can always blame the goalkeeper for things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that replacing your goalkeeper is going to solve all your problems, or your goalkeeper is the one holding you back, especially so in Barcelona's case. But with Ferran Torres, it's a bit different. And all of this drama or disdain, well, it makes more sense to me, mostly because he doesn't seem to fit anywhere on the pitch. He's not a touchline winger, he's not a withdrawn 10, or even an out-and-out striker. He's some weird hybrid of all of that, which sometimes looks good, but not good enough, consistently enough to justify how much they paid for him and his wages overall. He is making in excess of 10 million euros per year, placing him 6th place overall on this side for yearly wages. That's a lot of money for a player that so far has really only been a bench warmer or a super sub, and still is uncertain with the coach, with the fans, and probably with the players as well. Now, it's not like that's the worst number in this side, especially considering that Ansu Fati's on 14 million a year, but it is concerning that he's always a little bit off. His positioning is good, he makes fantastic runs at times and links up pretty well a lot, but there's almost always something off about his play. Sometimes it's his finishing, which is eerily similar to my finishing that all of you saw on the second channel a few weeks ago, or sometimes it's his first touch or his link-up play, but something is usually off there, and it's been the exact same story so far this season. He is not a complete player right now, and that is irritating to us fans, especially when guys like Rafinha and Lamine Yamal are playing so much better than he is, and Pau Victor is looking incredibly promising. I think Hansi Flick likes Ferran and the runs he can make, which I completely understand. There was a time on this channel where I praised him for those runs, for what he could be, but those runs are not converting to anything substantial, and because he keeps playing, well, he's kind of robbing those other guys that are doing so well of minutes right now. But he isn't just not scoring, he's also not really creating anything either. And it's that lack of a goal contribution consistency, I think, that leads to him making this team worse when he's in. In my personal opinion, each time he's been taken out in Barca's first 2 matches, the squad's offensive ability has improved with the removal of Ferran Torres. Usually with Rafinha shifting to the left and a midfielder coming in to support the runs on the left, being Pedri or Fermin Lopez. The rest of this team, for whatever reason, seems to connect and, more importantly, convert more often when Ferran isn't on the pitch, which is curious to me considering that Ferran is Spanish, he's been with these guys for a while, and yet Rafinha seems to link up better, Lamine Yamal seems to link up better, Pedri and Fermin, well, they all seem to be connecting. Even Lewandowski has been playing a lot better football recently and linking up with his boys pretty well. And so with all of these good things going on in the attacking third of Barcelona, I don't understand why Ferran Torres isn't playing well, and it makes me feel like all of this hate is very justified, even when I have been one of the biggest defenders of this kid for so long. I have defended Ferran Torres a lot over the past season. Maybe it's because I'm blind or because I play like him, but he has some very exciting pieces of his game that make him intriguing. And honestly, I think he is really close to being a pretty good player, but the fact is, he is not. He gets in good positions a lot, but he's often offsides. He makes intelligent passes even more, but they often miss their mark. He is not a great player right now, even if I feel like he's close to being it. He's not good right now. And unlike Marc-Andre ter Stegen in the video I made about him, well, the stats behind Ferran Torres actually defend the argument being made all over my Twitter. Ferran Torres has played in 115 matches, scored 25 goals, and assisted 13 for FC Barcelona. That's okay, but not really great for his wages and the transfer fee that we paid. But the worst part is that the guy hasn't scored for Barcelona in a real match since his hat trick against Betis on January 21st. It has been 8 months since Ferran Torres has scored or assisted for this side in a game that's actually mattered, and that's terrible. He was going through a good run of form when he had all of that talk about the shark and all that confidence talk, whatever it meant. He was playing pretty well, but then he got injured, missed 2 months, and we really haven't seen the same player since. But it's that final moment where he needs the quality that he clearly does not have right now and hasn't had at all at the beginning of this season. 8 months of not scoring or assisting is really bad for a player that plays as a striker sometimes, as a withdrawn center forward, and as a winger. It's not good at all. But that happens for a lot of players. They struggle with form and then they pull it together, and the fans go in and out of supporting them, being against them when their form is poor, because fans care about their club more than individual players, especially when that player is just Ferran Torres. He's not Lionel Messi, but Ferran Torres has also created a little bit of a problem for himself this summer when he refused a transfer away. That has historically never gone well for a player at a club, especially when they don't hit the ground running immediately the next season. It's very easy for fans to go against a player when they choose what's best for them or what they think is best for them over what might be the best thing for the club. It's similar to what happened for Frenkie de Jong when a lot of the fans were against him because he decided not to leave the club, not to let them bring a bunch of money from Manchester United, and so a lot of fans went against Frenkie, even if he was performing pretty well on the pitch, or okay at the very least with Sergio Busquets next to him. Ferran Torres is not playing as well as Frenkie de Jong was then, and we can see that contrast about what we feel around a player when we look at what happened to Gundogan. Gundo could have stayed, made 20 million euros this season, and hung out on the beach with his wife, but no, he chose to play football, go to Manchester City, help Barcelona by taking his insane wages off of the wage book. Ferran doesn't want to do that. He wants to do something else, and that is kind of hurting Barcelona, or it's limiting their ability to bring in other players or change things around, and that is going to create a lot of animosity from fans. And so that probably has made the situation for Torres a little bit worse than it might have been if he were open to a transfer, but Barcelona just couldn't find one, maybe. I might have made the same decision if I were in his shoes, so I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do, but I'm not in his shoes. I'm a supporter of FC Barcelona, and it might have been better if Ferran Torres got sold, we brought in more money, and did something else. I don't know. This club doesn't do the right thing with money a lot, so I can't say that for certain, but I can certainly say Ferran Torres doesn't look great right now. But honestly, I think this criticism is incredibly justified because we have seen Ferran Torres be good in moments. He clearly has the ability to do that, like with his record of goals for Spain. He can be good, but right now he isn't in that form, and you saw that even for the team that he had been so good for in Spain at the Euros. He barely played, and that reflects his form right now. He doesn't have it, but he could. He isn't like Ousmane Dembele, who couldn't finish in all but 2 games every single season. It's unfortunate that happened against us last year, but the fact is, Ferran Torres can be better than he is now, and we have to be critical of him. This hate or dislike for him is very justified, in my opinion, because we've seen him be good. He can be good. He just might have lost it here, and that's not okay for a player of FC Barcelona's quality, especially when they're playing so well without him in. It's hard to justify his minutes even if his runs are great, he's getting in good positions, if nothing comes from those positions that he's in. And it's hard to find a team or a position or a place for him to fit perfectly because he isn't a winger, he is not a striker, he's not an attacking midfielder. He is a certain type of floating center forward sort of thing. Now, at least that's where I think he's the best. He can do that under Hansi Flick at Barcelona right now. That's where they've been playing him. That's what he's been doing. He does a lot of rotation with Lewandowski, and that can look good, but he hasn't made anything from it at all this year, and that's very disappointing to me. Obviously, it's very early in the season to be saying that, but I am seeing some signs that it might take a long time again for him to find his footing, and I don't know if Barcelona can afford that with all of their defensive injuries. The defensive line is looking very weak, and so with that, we need some clinicality going forward, and Ferran Torres is not giving me that right now, and so I don't think he deserves a starting spot in this side. Will Hansi Flick continue doing it? Probably, because I think he likes him and he likes the idea of him, but on the pitch, where it matters, he's not doing it. He might be doing it in training. He's not doing it for Barcelona right now. I really have no idea what's going to happen with Ferran this season. I think he could be good because he's close, but that doesn't really matter to most people. It's getting on the score sheet that matters, and he isn't doing that. Now, funnily enough, neither is Rafinha. However, everyone is praising Rafinha for how he's playing, rightly so. He's been incredible and fantastic, and those goals and assists will come because he did it last year. We know he has it in him. I don't know if Ferran Torres has it in him. I am too worried about him, and so I couldn't predict what's going to happen with him. You know, a few months ago, maybe I would have said something differently, that he could find his footing, and I think he can. I think it's a little unrealistic to expect him to play like this all year, but also maybe it's a little optimistic to say he would change something. So I don't know what's going to happen. Well, I guess we're just going to have to see. Let me know what you think. But if you enjoyed this video, go jump onto this one, which is my review of the Rayo versus Barcelona match that happened earlier this week, or this one about, you know, whatever YouTube thinks you'll be interested in. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.